at Murtech.com with your daily news update. Okay, here we are on February the 17th in the year of our Lord 2026, and I've got some great information for you tonight. Let's go ahead and click Murtech on Rumble. Take you over here to my Rumble channel. Let's slide down here. This is the video we're watching tonight, episode 1841. It says upcoming, but as you know, you are actually watching it, so let's go ahead and get into that. Let me close out the live chat, slide down here, and click the Show More button to expand out the description box. Okay, we have information from Dan Bongino, Doug in Exile, Glenn Beck, and Wendy Bell Radio. But before we get into that, I do need to give some shout-outs here to Mar55117, just started following my channel. Draw1 just started following my channel. Sorry if I mispronounced your handle there. Walz Animals just started following my channel. Scaruleo just started following my channel. Sorry folks. Renee Oz just started following my channel. Crafty Granny just started following my channel. Jason Patrick 007 just started following my channel. So thank you very much, folks, for following my channel. I greatly appreciate that. I hope you're tuned in, and I hope you enjoy the content. All right. Kanhaya commented on my daily news wrap-up, and Debbie BS reposted my episode 1840. So thank you very much, folks, for your comment and for reposting my video. I greatly appreciate that. Let me give this a thumbs up. Boom. There you go. And I wish you would give me a thumbs up right down here below the video that you're watching. Just slide down and click that. Be great. Okay, Dan Bongino, The Race for 2028, episode 2454. Let's see what he has to say.
Oh, 2028 is on, but I wanted to get to this first, just quickly. This AI revolution, talking about preparedness and all this other stuff. Folks, I'm very concerned about one big chunk of AI that I think could cause us a lot of problems in the future, and that's the development of bioweapons. Once onto the open internet, it starts to spill out there, combinations of various chemicals, viral manipulations that can create super viruses. Now, look, we haven't been through this before with the whole COVID pandemic. I am very concerned that AI, if it were to get a hold of basic components of this, could create one of these things on its own if it sees itself in an existential crisis. It's not just me saying it. I am by no means an AI tech expert. It's actual AI creators out there who are putting their own financial future on the line by telling you, hey, we're a little concerned about our own product. I don't want to instill panic in anybody. I'm just telling you these concerns are very real. You have a lot of hostile foreign actors, too, who are very eager to use AI to develop advanced level biological weapons that we don't have any easy counter for right now. The only possible solution is to get AI to develop potential antidotes and vaccines for these things. And who knows if anybody's even going to trust that. This AI future has the potential for explosive economic growth, but the downsides could be very real. There's also the potential for massive economic dislocation here. However, don't use any of this as an excuse to fall into the Bernie Sanders AOC universal basic income trap. We don't know what's going to happen with AI and jobs because it hasn't really shown in the jobs numbers yet. The jobs numbers under President Trump are up despite the implementation of AI. However, what Elon's saying in this clip right here, I don't think is inaccurate. Here is Elon Musk talking about the difference between physical jobs that require a hands-on tactile touch, right? And digital jobs where you're touching a keyboard, maybe software developing or things like that. This is really important. Check this out.
Well, it is really still digital. Ultimately, AI can improve the productivity of humans who build things with their hands or do things with their hands, like literally welding, electrical work, plumbing, anything that's physically moving atoms, like cooking food or farming or like anything that's physical. Those jobs will exist for a much longer time. But anything that is digital, which is like just someone at a computer doing something, AI is going to take over those jobs like lightning.
Yeah, I think with that, he's absolutely correct. And that's definitely something we need to be concerned about. I saw this tweet too on an account called Raw Alerts, and this was fascinating. It says Meta is developing some kind of AI program where you can continue to post. Is patented an AI that can keep a deceased person account active and running, posting, messaging, and video calling by replicating and using their behavior from past data. I don't know if that's true or not, what their plans are for any of these social companies. But I noticed there was this big uproar on on social media, like, oh my gosh, this is crazy. And I'm going to tell you, all right, unpopular opinion, flame me in the chat if you need to. I'm open. Do your thing, chatsters. I'm looking now. Get ready. Okay, I'm giving you a second. I don't think this is the worst thing in the world. I know it. I'm going to take an ass kicking on this. It's okay. I'm going to tell you the truth. If you don't want to do it, there's going to be an opt-out. They're not going to be able to steal your image and likeness. However, if you're some content creator or musician or an artist who creates digital pieces or something or whatever it may be, and you want to take care of your family, what better life insurance plan than to be able to continue to turn over your property, your social media pages to them and allow the AI to integrate and create some product and generate some income for your family. I don't know. Maybe it's hard for me to be objective because I have a social media presence on this, but I don't think it's worse. Just opt out if you don't like it. All right. Enough on that. I always pack in a ton here. By the way, if you have an iPhone, very critical public service announcement from the DB show. Update your iOS. Major update from Apple. They had some kind of spyware infiltration, some major attack. Make sure you update your phone. I did it this morning. Haven't seen from the other side the threats. It's a big deal. You can look it up. But there was some Apple spyware update. Some of the stuff they can do out there with this new technology is absolutely incredible. Make sure you update it. Okay. Moving on to something you may have seen in the news last night, another tragic story. I'll address this again with John Solomon later. Folks, it appears to be another act of trans violence. Yesterday, you saw the story in the news with this homicide investigation. Folks, when we were over at the Bureau over the last year, we were not letting this go. As I told you before, you see with just the news right here, father who shot 5 at Rhode Island ice rink was transgender, authorities say. Ladies and gentlemen, this is obviously getting to be a not only deadly problem, but a very deadly problem that is repeating itself. There is a pattern here, okay? You know for a fact, if this was some devout conservative or MAGA hat wearing guys shooting up a rink and this was happening over and over and Democrats were in charge, you'd all be in jail tomorrow. This is a pattern. When you see a pattern, you look for traits in the pattern. Is it hormonal manipulation? Is it some kind of psychological issue embedded that we're missing that leads to these outbreaks of violence in some of these cases? That when we were over there, we had them look at this through an analytical product. This is happening over and over and over again. And we better damn well get an explanation for and get a hold of this, because this is not the first, second, or third time this has happened. As more information develops on that, I'll be sure to get it out on this show and my social media platforms as well. However, getting to what I wanted to discuss in the beginning of the show today. Folks, the race for 2028 is already on. And it matters. You know, I get it. I understand. This is another one of those chat moments where you always hesitate to discuss this stuff because it makes it appear like you're driving the news cycle. The news cycle drives the show. That's what we discuss, what's in the news. You're seeing now candidates earlier and earlier start to enter into the race. And what you're seeing now is a gravitational pull of party elders in each direction trying to pull parties. But you're seeing it now. I'll give you an example. Obama and Hillary Clinton, in a clip I'll get to later, trying to pull the Democrat Party back towards closer to the center on the immigration issue because they know it's a total loser to be on the side of open borders. And then you're seeing AOC go totally crazy overseas. You're going to see this battle play out now. From this point on, it's going to be in the news every single day. You're also going to see it on the right. Some people are staking out claims. Some people are staking out other claims. Some people want to be the traditional old school conservative. Some people more the establishment type. Some people on the MAGA brand. Some people are going to run on the libertarian brand. You're going to see that. And I'm going to be able to explain that to you on our side as well as we go forward. But the Democrats are clearly in the counter-irritation mode right now. What's the counter-irritation mode? I described it yesterday. You know those like Bengay and those other pain analgesics, you put them on your arthritis, and you're like, I feel better. Well, some of them, the way they work is counter-irritation. You get a pain in your elbow, you put on this capsaicin-type cream, and it's like a hot type compound, and it distracts you a bit and your nervous system from the pain, right? That's the Democrats' principle of politics right now. They know everything they've run on in the last decade has been absolute shit. They know it. The open borders, Obama's disastrous pullout from Afghanistan, the DEI initiatives, the Latinx crap, all of the stuff. They've defunded the police. Now Obamacare, which sucks so bad, it now needs more taxpayer money, even though it was supposed to be cheaper, and they're willing to shut down the government on. Think about this. Every single thing the Democrats have run on. Tell me one single thing. Folks in the chat, tell me one single thing the Democrats have run on. A serious substantive policy issue where the Democrats turned out over time to be right. Defund the police, freaking disaster. Obamacare, freaking disaster. The economy under Democrats, freaking disaster. And anything? The culture wars, disaster. DEI policy, disaster. Everything they've done is a disaster. Medicaid, going bankrupt. Medicare, going bankrupt. Social Security, going bankrupt. We've got to clean this entire mess up for these people. They can't run on everything. They cause you the pain, so they need the counter-irritation. They have to start another distraction to get you away from thinking about everything they do that sucks all the time. Weaponizing government, disaster. You see this in action here. Did you see this clip with Eric Trump and this clown interviewer? What is this, Daily Mail or something like that? Telegraph? This interviewer, Eric Trump, agrees to go on and do an interview with this guy. And unbelievably, after a decade plus of the Democrats, the libs, and hack-goon Republicans who hated Donald Trump, weaponizing the government, whether it was through Arctic Frost, Mar-a-Lago, the raid at Mar-a-Lago, whether it was through the civil trials up in New York, Letitia James, whether it was from Twinkies up in New York. The list goes on and on. Crossfire Hurricane, all of these various operations, weaponized government, take out Donald Trump. This guy, this interviewer, has the balls to tell Eric Trump, like, hey, man, I think you guys may have been making a big deal out of this. It just seems like standard politics. Politics. They raided a former president's freaking house, clown. And thank God Eric Trump kicked right back on this. This is what I'm talking about by counter-irritation. And then blame the Republicans and make it out like they're the ones weaponizing government. Check this out.
I take that point. My point is that some of the siege that you faced, and I understand why it was very personal and distressing, can you accept that some of it was just people legitimately disagreeing with your father's policies and using every lever available, as people generally do in politics, in order to push back?
No. Hold on one second. I mean, there are politics, and there is peaceful discourse, right? Over the fact that two people might disagree on abortion. People might disagree on gun rights. People might disagree on the limitations of freedom of speech, right? People can have these disagreements on either side, and they can do so, and they can debate certain things, and whoever wins that debate and the populace ultimately wins. That's different than raiding somebody's house. That's different than subpoenaing their children with the intent to literally try and bankrupt a company. That's different than calling every financial institution and telling them to debank a person. That's different than making up dirty dossiers where saying that there are golden you-know-what's happening with prostitution when it was totally fabricated and paid by the opposition. That's criminal type behavior. That's not democracy. That's not the debate of ideas where people can have different perspective.
Folks, one of the goals of this show, and we've been doing it a long time, about 10 years, a little over 10 years now, has always been to take a whole bunch of information and distill it down into digestible bits so it's easy to understand. The counter-irritation principle, once you notice it, you can never unnotice it. You can't unsee it. They do this all the time. They cause you pain on whatever it may be, DEI, Obamacare, and then they go and blame the other party for the problem they caused, causing a distraction from the irritation they caused. This media guy is clearly playing into that by downplaying the vicious attacks against Donald Trump. We all know that are a matter of freaking historical record. They're not a matter of opinion. And he makes it out like, oh, you guys are just whining and moaning. Yet, during at least my tenure there at the FBI, when we went and and built cases that were indictable and prosecutable later, when we built cases against Comey, Letitia James, Bolton, I had to write them down because if sometimes they don't come to mind right away. We had a lot of them. Gavin Newsom's chief of staff, the Kathy Hochul staff member. We built cases against the New Orleans mayor and others. There was an entire police department in one case. We had to build a case on these public corruption files. We were immediately accused, despite these cases in building the probable cause the right way based on hard evidence, we were accused of politicizing the place. This is the counter-irritation principle. Look, I just pulled this random article out. What is this, the Milwaukee Independent or whatever? How Kash Patel weaponized the FBI into a political tool for Trump's retribution against critics. We actually had to go and build cases the right way. And this is the counter-irritation principle. This is exactly what these people do. You see it over and over again, and the liberal goon media provides the gaslighting air cover they need, and that's why these people continue to do this, because they absolutely know they will never, ever be called out. So I'm going to get to this in a second, but here's what I mean by 2028. They're trying to establish now the moral high ground as well for their candidates, that they are on the right moral arc of history. And they're the good guys. They're the beatified white knights in this whole thing. They are totally full of shit. They started this, and they're just pissed off that we're ending it. That's it. Here's what I mean. Obama, and I'll play this in a second, but Obama over there in a podcast interview he had done is insisting like, oh, the Democrats are really the good guys here. We have the moral high ground. We're trying to help people. Tolerance, coexist, and all that bullshit. This has to stop. Don't fall for counter-irritation. This is the real Democrat Party. Here's just a brief supercut. We'll play some of it. Of Democrats and the real language they've used. It's already there. You can see it. It's on tape and digital bits. This is how they refer to you. Don't tell me they're the good guys. Check this out.
That Donald Trump is Hitler. I wouldn't say
I don't
that.
think any Democrat has. I actually.
All those images of masked men, the secret police, something familiar in Germany, and 700 active duty Marines sent not overseas, but to the second largest city in the United States of America, militarizing the streets of my city. Masked men.
And this rogue Department of Justice going out to do the bidding of this Timu Hitler. I don't even know what to call him. I've called him so many things, but this wannabe Hitler for sure.
Trump actually reenacting the Madison Square Garden rally in 1939 that neo-Nazis, fascists in America.
Y'all got the white supremacists galore, okay? Like all of them. You got the Proud Boys, you got the neo-Nazis. This is who aligns with that. So like inherently in like who you are, y'all are violent. Like right. Y'all, and most of your violence has to do with people that's got a little bit of melanin.
The Save America Act is yet another Republican attempt to intimidate and suppress the votes of anyone who threatens their extremist white supremacist agenda.
Talks about the blood of America.
Okay, I'm going to pause that there. I'm sorry you had to listen to all those lies, folks. But that's what I try to do, is point out the lies from the left, okay? And Dan Bongino here does the same thing. So that's why I share his information. All right, I'm going to share the rest of this video in my daily news wrap-up, but in the meantime, let me click on the Rumble link and show you that this video does come directly from Dan Bongino, the Dan Bongino Show. I'm following his channel. I've given him a thumbs up. I hope you do the same thing for me. All right, let's jump back here. All right, Susie B63 gave me a comment or a chat. Anybody else want to chat with me? I'd like to hear from you. Okay, Doug in Exile. Governor Walz makes a strange confession. Well, let's check it out and see what's
Watch Tim Walz make a buffoon of himself again.
The federal government needs to pay for what they broke here. There are going to be accountability on the things that happen, but one of the things is the incredible and immense costs that were borne by the people of this state. The federal government needs to be responsible. You don't get to break things and then just leave without doing something about it. So we're going to be asking the federal delegation to be investing and doing the things necessary. The federal government needs to pay for what they broke here. They are going to be...
Okay, I just wanted to play that again. The federal government needs... He's blaming the federal government for breaking what happened in Minnesota. He's the one that called all of these violent rioters to come out and attack ICE. And then he blames ICE for... ICE didn't do anything but remove the most dangerous illegals there were, cut down Somali fraud, and then he blames the American taxpayer. My only question to all of you is, does he get away with it? Is anyone believing this one, that we, the taxpayer, should have to pay for what he did in Minnesota? I'd like to hear in the chat, all my Minnesotans out there can tell me if you're ready to pay for this stuff. But wait, there's more. This gets filed under the what's wrong with Tim Walz.
Look, it's not law-abiding citizens. If that were the case, there's a lot of white men should be holding a lot of white men accountable for the...
So this is going back to the old white men.
More lies.
Now, I'm a white
More
man,
lies.
and he says that white men should be holding white men accountable instead of blaming Somalis. I agree with Tim Walz on this. I'm going to convince you, and I'm going to make you agree too, because I'm a white guy holding Tim Walz, a white guy, accountable. You guys can tell me in the chat, how do we hold Tim Walz accountable? I especially want to hear from my white guys in the audience. How do you, a white guy, hold Tim Walz accountable, a white guy? He says, hey, white guys should be holding more white guys accountable. Don't go after, white guys shouldn't be going after Somali fraud. Okay, we're going to go after Tim Walz fraud. We're white guys.
For the crimes that they have committed. I think for the community to maybe educate their population, because I think what you're seeing here is there's secondary victims in this, that there's providers inside the community that are then victimizing the community themselves by signing them up, because when we're going to some of these people.
He's describing exactly what he did. He's going, look, it's not the Somalis' fault. It's someone else's bad actor signing them up on all of these fraudulent things. They're innocent. Who's the guys that signed them up? Pritzker, Tim Walz, white guys. Tim Walz did it. So he's the guy he's saying we should go after, and I'm all for it. Right here in Exile, we agree. Next up, I just wanted to tell you guys that I'm excited because Chapter is once again a sponsor of this show, and they've signed up to a major committee. Corruption goes much deeper than you thought. See, I'm going to drag in now Attorney General Harmeet Dillon, who is one of my favorite people ever. She announces she has launched lawsuits against 25 states and Washington, D.C. for refusing to clean their voter rolls. What does that mean? They don't want to look in their voter rolls to see how many illegals are voting. Think about it for a second. Here's the question. Why would 25 states refuse to clean their voter rolls? Now, you guys can tell me. Let's take a guess. Which states don't want to clean their voter rolls? I wonder which ones. You can tell me if here's Minnesota. There's Tim Walz's state. Why does Tim Walz's state, which is being sued now by Harmeet Dillon, why does Tim Walz's state not want to clean its voter rolls? Same thing with California, Michigan, New York, New Hampshire, Pennsylvania, Maine, Oregon, Colorado, Hawaii, Massachusetts, Nevada. Are you guys seeing the pattern yet? Delaware, Maryland, New Mexico, Rhode Island, Vermont, Washington, Illinois, Wisconsin, Georgia, Arizona, Connecticut, Virginia, District of Columbia. Is there a pattern? There are blue states or swinging blue states. Only blue states don't want to submit their voter rolls to Harmeet Dillon. Here she is on the Matt Gaetz show, which she posted this interview on X, where it's a brief 47-second clip. She'll explain it.
We asked all of the states and the District of Columbia to give us their voter rolls so that we could compare them with our federal databases and help them comply with our federal civil rights laws. About 14 of the states have complied with us voluntarily. We've engaged in some litigation and settled it with North Carolina, where they agreed to clean up their voter rolls. And we have compliance coming in from a few more states. But so far, I've sued 25 states in the District of Columbia for refusing to help them do their jobs and clean up the voter rolls. And I'm sorry to say some of those states include where there are people you would think would want, according to the populists there, Republican-dominated states, want clean voter rolls, and they haven't been willing to comply. And so that's disappointing.
So this is even a few red states, almost all blue states. They don't want to comply with cleaning up their voter rolls. Here's more from Tim Walz.
These folks don't want to be involved in politics. They want to teach kids. They chose this profession because it's what they love. And now they've been thrown into the middle of this absolutely ridiculous fight.
This is Tim Walz defending teachers who, for dragging them into this fight, which is in not transing kids. Not transing kids, he says, is a fight that teachers didn't want to get dragged into. Well, maybe you shouldn't have pushed it from the state down.
It will go just as well as the tariffs have gone, just as well as the stock market's going.
He says that this isn't going to go well, that it's not going to go as well as the tariffs are going, which when I last checked, they were going pretty well. And he says it's going to go just as well as the stock market, which reached a 50,000 record just this last week. Stock market's never been better. And he says that this getting involved in Minnesota corrupt teachers and their schools and trying to fix them will go just as well as that. Well, he doesn't realize that's a total self-own.
Just as well as egg prices have gone, but
just as well as egg prices have gone. Egg prices are down from where they were under Biden. So we're looking pretty good on all this, guys. We're still looking good on this. And finally, this is the final one. This is Obama versus Trump, because Tim Walz is claiming Trump is killing people with the iced custody deaths. We're just going to compare Obama's deaths to Trump's deaths. So here's Obama, 2009 to 2016 versus Trump, 2017 to 2020. Obama, his ICE custody deaths were 114 people died in his custody. Under Trump, only 22 people died. Obama's average is 14 per year, and Trump's was only 5 to 6 deaths per year. So this is how the media and Democrats work. Deaths under Obama are good, 114. Deaths under Trump, 22 are bad. Are you guys seeing how this works yet? Should white people be holding Tim Walz, a white person, accountable? Because I'm ready to go full-blown white-on-white justice on Tim Walz. I'm Doug in Exile.
All right.
Tim Walz is perhaps
okay,
the
there you have it.
worst vice president.
If I can get this to stop playing. All right. This video does come from Doug in Exile. I'm following his channel. I've given him a thumbs up. I hope you do the same thing for me. Okay, let's jump back here and see. Sorry. See what we got here from Glenn Beck. This is how your leftist friends were brainwashed into hating eyes. How to open their eyes. Okay. Well, let's get some advice from Glenn Beck. Okay, hang on here. I lost my share. So let me get it out here. I don't know how that happened, but let's go. Boom.
That I read, and I want to give it to you in two ways, because everybody prioritizes facts using a story. Stories are what makes us human. It's what knits us together. It's what brings us together. It's what motivates us to lift up higher and also go to war. Stories are important. But how you tell the story is more important. How can two people look at exactly the same news and see it so differently? Because that's what we're experiencing right now. We're seeing things happen with illegal immigration and ICE, and we're looking at the same story. No. We think we're looking at the same facts. What we're doing is we're looking at two different stories. Okay? Depending on how you use the facts, admitting some things that don't fit, overemphasizing things that do fit your narrative, we change the actual story. And this is the problem. This is why we're not listening to one another. We have to be able to find a way to hear each other. So let me give you an example of the kind of stories that you're reading and hearing about. Let me give you 2 examples, okay? First story. He came to America looking for something simple. He came to America for a chance. He left his home in Ireland alone to come to the land of opportunity. He arrived just as so many Irishmen arrived in this country. Almost nothing in his pocket, just a dream and a city that understands the Irish, Boston. So he gets to Boston. And like so many people before him, he finds work. He builds a life. He builds his own business. He falls in love, gets married. He builds something here in America that he couldn't build in Ireland. And it's stable. And it's home. Then one day, he's just doing his business, routine stop at Home Depot, and everything changes. Handcuffs, detention. He's transported more than 2,000 miles away to a facility in Texas, and he spends months in this room he says is filthy, little sunlight. He barely gets to see outside anymore, very small meals, uncertainty hanging over him like a fog every single day. He doesn't know what's coming next. He finally gets a chance to speak, and he says, I feel completely forgotten. I have a wife at home. She's trying to hold things together, hoping against hope that maybe the system will see him more than just a number. He has 2 dogs. His wife tells the press they're waiting for him at home, wondering when he's coming back. They wait by the door, waiting for him to come home. Well, even people in Ireland are outraged. Politicians in his homeland now speaking up, asking questions about how a man with a life built here ends up locked away, fearing riots, wondering whether anybody hears him. He's an Irishman. He came to America for a better dream. And you hear this story and you think, there, but by the grace of God go, why? All he was trying to do is build something, and now he's waiting behind a locked door, hoping somebody remembers that he's a human. Well, I remember he's a human, and that's why I want you to go to the GoFundMe page. It's already raised $30,000 for his legal defense. Now, you hear that story told like that, and I can see why you might be upset. But now let me add in facts and tell you the same tale, different story, but only because I'm adding the facts. Let me tell you, as Paul Harvey would say, the rest of the story. The man in the story, and by the way, this is a real story. This is in the news today. The man who was detained by ICE didn't just arrive and the life, but that is the beyond his legal status. Now, well, I mean, he didn't know. Nobody did anything. No. They tried. An immigration judge issued a final order of removal. They went and they picked him up. Yes, at a Home Depot. Officials say he was offered immediate return to Ireland, but he chose to stay in detention instead. Well, now the Irish are very upset because he should be here. Well, let me add some more facts. This is the part that rarely makes the first headline. Why did he leave Ireland? Was it truly for the land of opportunity? Or was it possible that he was trying to escape a life that he already had in Ireland? You see, back in Ireland, there were drug-related charges, including allegations of intent to supply and obstruction of a police officer. A court sought a bench warrant after he failed to appear. Okay, we leave out all those facts. And sympathy is now gathering here in the United States. And there's fundraising campaigns. There's radio interviews, emotional appeals. And 2 voices have surfaced that change the picture a bit, but you're not hearing about these 2 voices. And the 2 voices are his twin daughters in Ireland. The twins, who are now about to turn 19. They were 18 It's an interesting number, 18, because when their father abandoned them, they were 18 months old, leaving their mother, Margaret Maggie Morrissey, to raise his two daughters all alone. They never saw him again, never received a dime in child support. Dad just disappeared until they heard from him briefly after his detention. He's not a victim of circumstance. He was a father who abandoned his children. And then only when he was arrested did he reach out to his children, maybe hoping against hope that the children would throw sympathy his way. And while the social media posts all are talking about his dogs waiting at home, the daughters reminded the world there were children waiting for him to come home their whole lives as well. Same man, same facts. But now the second story with all of the facts asks a different question. Is this about injustice or is this consequences delayed? How do we get to a place to where we can agree on anything? See, we don't have the facts in common. And when facts are intentionally omitted, the story changes. What changed between these two stories here, not the facts, just which facts come first, which facts are delayed, which facts are admitted for a while, or maybe ever. Because the facts, the way you position the facts, allows you, a good storyteller, to control the emotions. Which emotions are you priming before the context arrives? What I did in the first story was activate your compassion first. I wanted to make sure that you understood this guy is just an immigrant, like all these thousands and thousands of immigrants that are Irish that came over to Boston. Story 2 activates accountability first. Now, both are real and both are persuasive, and that is exactly the point. You don't have to lie about to change public opinion. You don't. You only have to decide what the audience feels first. Okay, so let me give you a couple of things. First, is anybody concentrating on the fact of what Hillary Clinton said in Berlin this week? This last weekend, there was a big security conference, and Hillary Clinton said something about illegal immigration that's very, very important. Cut 11, please.
There is a legitimate reason to have a debate about things like migration. It went too far. It's been disruptive and destabilizing, and it needs to be fixed in a humane way with secure borders that don't torture and kill people. So this really, yes, migration has been a huge flashpoint. More people were deported under my husband and Barack Obama without killing American citizens and without putting children into detention camps than were in the first Trump term or this first year of Trump's second term.
I can't take it. Stop. I can't take it. I can't take it. Yes, she's absolutely right. It's gone too far. It was out of control. It's disruptive. It's destroying our societies. More people were put into deported under her husband and Barack Obama by far than anything Donald Trump has done without killing or torturing. Okay, stop it. Stop it right now. Why has there been anyone who has been killed? Why has there been a single person? What is the difference between when your husband and Barack Obama was doing it and now? I'll give you the only difference. One. There weren't left-wing activists in the street trying to thwart them at every step of the way. There weren't politicians who were calling them Nazis for doing it. That's the difference, Hillary. Again, use all of the facts. You can't just see what she just did. She left out really important facts and she went right for, look, it's a problem, but, and that's where they get you. It's a problem, but. Now, let me play another. This is SOT 30. This is a woman who is stalking ICE. Okay. She's in Minnesota. She sees ICE agents. They're taking an illegal alien, and she sees it. She spots it. And she's there because she had heard that there was ICE activity in the area. That immediately marks you as an extremist, okay? Who are you listening to? Where do you get that? You're obviously following a group that wants to stop ICE. Okay, all right. So she locates the dark gray Durango license, Nebraska plates, and she gives the plates, where 3 agents inside are following a woman in her car. They followed her to Walmart, where I watched them interact, blah, 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 blah. Okay. So she confronts the ICE agents. Now, let me play what she said. Here's cut number 30.
This isn't a good look for you.
You think I care about my look?
No, no, trust me.
When you guys
it is evident by how you look, you don't care. We get that, trust me. No, that's what I'm saying. I'm just saying this, trying to be a social warrior. If you actually cared, you probably would care about the child who got raped and also the person who got murdered by the person that we were looking for. But see, you don't care.
No, I don't care because you guys
Thank you.
just try to detain legal immigrants.
Okay. This is what happens every time. By the way, I love the sassy ICE agent. This is not a good look for you. I don't care how I look. Oh, trust me, sweetheart. That fashion you got going on there, car there, it's a train wreck. No survivors. We know you don't care about how you look. I mean, I love that. I do love that. It's satisfying, but probably wrong to do. This is where we end up with identity over information. Okay. For the activist, one way or another, left or right, there are no longer specific facts in front of them. Okay. This is all about identity. He is ICE. Therefore, he's either the good guy in his head or he's the Nazi in her head. Okay. That's the role they play. And there's no breaking that, especially when there's a camera or a crowd. Once there's a camera or a crowd, you must perform. Okay? Law enforcement, you're an abuse of power. Government institutions, you're unjust. Then every interaction with somebody like this Karen becomes filtered through the lens of those facts before they even arrive. She was going to find them to tell them off because they're abusing. Doesn't matter that the guy that they were taking was a guy who was molesting children. This is the way our brain works, okay? It protects identity first. Facts come second, if they come at all. So when it says, you would care, if you really did care, you would be accused, or you would be horrified that we were picking up somebody that was abusing children. All she hears is blah, blah, blah. I'm justifying my evil. That's what she hears. She's just hearing blah, blah, blah propaganda from the big evil government. What's so amazing is that both sides believe they are protecting the public from violence. One has been trained to disregard everything that the government says. Again, why did Hillary Clinton say there were no deaths of anybody who was just standing up against? Because there wasn't anyone standing up against it. And don't tell me about the cages, because I was there pointing out the cages that Barack Obama was using, and no one cared until Donald Trump came in and he started closing those cages down, and you accused him of building cages. Please. All you have to do is actually look for the facts. So when he says a child was harmed, her brain immediately searches for the counter harm they believe is bigger. They're not debating any facts here. They're debating which moral lens gets priority. And that's what we have to break. Okay. And again, because she came with a camera, It's theater. Once the camera is rolling, the pride locks in. The tribal signals are vital. Backing down is betrayal. It will make you a traitor, okay? And you know this. People say things publicly, and then when you get them aside, usually they'll be like, I'm sorry, I shouldn't have said that. I know, blah, 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 blah. But there's no breakthrough that is possible when you're performing for an audience. So how do you break through on this? Let me show you. Let me show you how you break through. And not everybody's going to hear the breakthrough. It may be more important for the members of the audience to see.
All right, there we have it, folks. This video does come from Glenn Beck. Great information, and I think he nailed it. He's right on with that one. Okay, I am subscribed to his channel. I've given him a thumbs up. I hope you do the same thing for me. All right, let's jump back here. Sorry, I had a cough there. I'm getting over a cold. I had a cold over the weekend. The kids had a cold or flu or something. The whole house. It's gone around the whole house, so it's caught up to me. All right, Wendy Bell, radio. It's all about the fraud. Let's check it out, see what she has to say.
Huge games player. I'm not a big hey, everybody, let's get out a board game. Let's go do this and let's go play such and such. I don't play games in my private life. I don't play games here on the radio. I tell you what I think is important. And then you choose whether you want to listen to me or not. And it's a very nice situation. The games that are being played, though, behind our back, but in front of our faces, that you and I are on this wild ride because of, it's absolutely unacceptable and it's ridiculous. I want you to consider this, okay? Let's talk about the two big stories that we can today, and we will later on in the broadcast in a bit more detail. You've got one of two things. What's worse? What's a worse look for the left? The horrible story about the transgender man, the father who went berserk at a hockey rink in Maine and shot up his family, shot and killed his wife, shot and killed one of his children, 3 others wounded. There were 2 other kids and a friend with them. I don't know if they're the other people who were hit. And then the guy turns the gun on himself. I want you to think for a minute. Transgender guy, okay? How many more transgender issues that involve individuals going berserk and harming other people do we need to go through as a society before we say, Houston, we've got a serious problem. It is a mental health problem, and we need to talk about it. The left is like, no. You have to be inclusive. You have to do everything. You have to let your child choose their gender. You need to be on board with all of the mutilation and the craziness. And you say, I just kind of wanted my kids to grow up and have a childhood. This man kills his wife, kills a child. There are 2 other siblings now who lost their mom and their dad and a brother or a sister. What's a worse look? That horrible pain on your heart right now, or the literal crap flowing down the Potomac River towards Washington, D.C.? Because there's a giant problem, Houston. We've got an issue. This just in. Oh, it's not a new problem. It's a problem that's been spewing hundreds of millions of gallons of raw human waste into the Potomac River. And nobody's turning it off. They're like, well, look at that. That sucks. And meantime, people are like, you realize that already, if you consider a football field, consider wherever you go watch a professional football game, right? Imagine there is a 10-foot wall along the perimeter of that football field. If you were to pump 250 million gallons of raw sewage, that's what you would get. A 10-foot wall, like 20 yards, yes? That is what we're talking about, and it's still going. And the only person who's there to help fix the day is Donald Trump. Like, so what's worse? That everything about your social, your culture, your nonsense LGBTQIA plus agenda that leads people to lose their minds and endanger other people and kill other people and themselves. That or the literal view of raw poop heading towards Washington, D.C. You know, it's funny because I looked, I didn't see any of the lawmakers tweeting about this. I did hear about Donald Trump saying, you guys, we're dealing with incompetence. You're dealing with the after effects, I'm sad to say, of this whole ridiculous DEI garbage that you and I have gone through. That instead of having an engineering degree and being a really good person in terms of dealing with structural stuff like that, we're going to hire someone because they have breasts, they're gay, or they have color. Okay? What the hell are we doing? Well, you're getting 250 million gallons of raw wastewater and growing, pumping into a pristine waterway. Okay? That's where we are, ladies and gentlemen. You do not have action. You've got nothing in your government that seems proactive. Nobody's really in the Democrat side, and sadly, a lot of Republicans. You don't hear them coming up with, you know what? I think we should think forward. They're not even reactive. They've become completely inactive to the point where we're like, what the hell are we paying you for? What is it exactly that you do? Because I don't know. Coming up on the program today, we have an interview on the Joe Pags broadcast, if you know the radio broadcaster. He's great, and he's got Senator Mark Wayne Mullen on. And he asks Mark Wayne Mullen, what's going on with the SAVE Act? What's going on with the filibuster? Why don't we just nuke this, get the votes we need, and start passing this president's agenda? And he gives a dizzying reply that absolutely confirms the entire purpose of the federal bureaucracy is to do as little as possible, to create as much red tape, rules, regulations, nonsense, mumbo jumbo stuff, performative garbage as possible, and to stay in position as long as possible so that you are never held accountable for your role in the debacle. It's ridiculous, and you're going to hear it today in living color. You wouldn't let your kids do what these lawmakers do. You know, I have a son at home. He's 24. He's been working in film here in Pennsylvania, in Pittsburgh, film and TV. He wants to be a director. He wants to be a screenwriter. He is an extraordinary mind, and I believe he is going to do everything he sets out to do. He has an interview tomorrow at a highly prestigious film school where he hopes to be accepted into a very elite program that I guess only 24 people a year are accepted to. And I'm sitting at the kitchen island last night cooking dinner with him. And I'm listening to him talk. I'm listening to him run over the scenarios. Well, what if they postpone me again? What am I going to do next? Well, I could do this and I could do that. Here's what my thought process is. Here's who I could live with. Here's how I could make it. Here's how I could make it work out. This is never asked Mom, what do you think? He wasn't interested in my opinion. He was telling me, you know what? My life has come to a very interesting fork in the road, and I'm not in charge of where it goes. And I know that. And it drives me crazy. And I don't want to get my hopes up, but I don't want to cut myself short. I don't want to put all my eggs in this basket and get crushed again. But by golly, it happens, and I don't want it to happen again. We sat there and we made burgers and we made potatoes and a salad, and I listened to my son for about 2 hours. I heard more from my son last night than I've heard from anybody who represents this state that I live in the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. I listened more and heard more about the dreams and the desires and the steps and the contingencies and the heartbreak and all of it. 2 hours. I heard more from my son about where he's going, possibly in the next chapter of his life. And I've heard from the majority of the people on Capitol Hill who are supposed to every day fight for you and for me and to do what is right. And day after freaking day, they fail when is enough. Right? I think that moment was a long time ago. I think all the things that are coming out now are just going to be proof of what you've long suspected. Now, here's the key. Are we going to continue to sit back and just be the beach ball on the ocean and bob along with whomever makes decisions for us? Or are we going to finally say, that's it. Enough is enough. Will you listen to the stories today? You tell me if you're there yet, okay? Because I have been for a while. And when we come back, Donald Trump is clearly over the mark, right? The economics, things are going on in this country, safety, the border stuff, the deportation. This is where Harry Enton comes in. He's gotten his directive. Look, we got a State of the Union next week. We've got to do whatever we can to tarnish this president. And so Harry takes a swing at it. See if he connects. Next on the Wendy Bell Radio Network.
Okay, I'm going to pause this here and give you a message from 1775 Coffee. Let's listen to this.
Still haven't tried 1775 coffee? Now's your shot. The 1775 starter kit just dropped, only 1,000 units. You're getting the bold dark roast that hits hard, the smooth medium roast, and the Vitality Mushroom Coffee for clean energy and laser focus, no crash.
All single origin, small batch, toxin-free, and mold-free. Plus, you're also getting a gold spoon clip because freedom isn't scooped with plastic. A frother strong enough to stir up your coffee and your mother-in-law's opinions. And a black 1775 tumbler.
$170 worth of coffee and gear. Yours for $99. This is for the ones who've been watching 1775 blow up on Rumble, wondering if it's actually worth it. Spoiler, it is.
Go to 1775coffee.com/studio and grab your starter kit before they're gone. Bold beans, clean fuel, and a morning routine that stands for something, just like Rumble does.
Thank you all for the corrections. Good to keep it clean here. I want to talk to you guys about Harry Enton, and I find this a very curious thing when I watch Harry. And we're going to squeeze in 4 quick sound bites here for you because the deep state, in my analysis, is totally freaking out over all things Donald Trump. He is full steam ahead. He is going to be the one who fixes this raw poo flowing on the Potomac. And it's not funny. He is the one who is fixing all of the problems that the Democrats have invited, almost like landmines, to fiddle with his administration and the successes he's trying to have here in the second term. Harry says, you know what? Don't look at the economy. Don't look at all the good stuff that's going on. These polls now show nobody likes Donald Trump. I mean, like, how low can he go? It's so odd. There is no basement because Donald Trump keeps falling through it. So listen and consider what you think. Is this correct, or is he desperate for you to think it's correct? Listen.
President Donald John Trump. Look at this. I got 4 numbers across for you on this screen here. They are all second-term lows for the given pollster. What are we talking about? AP North, 26 points below water. NBC, 22 points below water. Yahoo YouGov, 20 points below water. Quinnipiac, 19 points below water. So we're ranging from negative 19 points all the way to negative 26 points. You know, Kate, there's this question that folks keep asking, you know, where is the floor for Donald Trump? And I'm not sure there is a floor, because if there is one, Donald Trump, at least in term number 2, has just fallen through it to another low level.
Is that what you guys are asking? Is that what your friends are asking? How low can Donald Trump go? Like, I hate what this guy is doing. It's the worst. I haven't heard that at all. Not at all. So I 100% say that's complete hocus pocus out of Harry there. People wonder how low this president is. He's not only reshaping the entire geopolitical atmosphere, right? He's strengthening America's position in it. And we're supposed to believe that his approval is in the toilet. Okay, because Joe Biden was doing such a better job. Right. This is where the news babe jumps in with Harry, and she's like, well, let's look at these numbers, these low approval numbers for this point in his second term. How bad is it looking versus Trump's first term? And just for good measure, so we can step on the president. And how much better is Joe Biden at this point in his presidency? Interesting. Let's listen.
We look at these numbers right here. One of the things that Donald Trump had been arguing, his proponents have been arguing, oh, you know what, he's doing better than he was doing in term number one. No longer is that the case. What are we talking about here? Okay, net approval rating at this point in the term. Look at this. 22 points below water on average when you average all the pollsters from the last slide. That is actually lower. That is lower than he was at this point in term number one, when he was 17 points below water. So he's doing 5 points worse, and he's doing way worse than Joe Biden was doing at this point in his term number one, when he was 13 points below water. So the bottom line is this. Donald Trump is setting new records for himself in term number two, setting new records for himself compared to where he was at this point in term number one. And he's doing worse than Joe Biden, which is, of course, the comparison that Donald Trump does not want to be, because we all know what happened to Joe Biden. His party lost the House in term number one, that midterm elections. And of course, Joe Biden was not reelected to another term. At this point, the numbers are no bueno for the president of the United States.
Just to keep it real, say that if, they stole 2020. So, I mean, if we wanted to keep everything on the up and up, Harry, right? So no bueno. It almost is like President Trump should throw in the towel. Just give it up. I mean, why are we even continuing one more day? It's completely insurmountable. I feel despondent. Why? Oh, why, Harry? Is Trump's favorability so in the toilet?
Because he keeps setting new lows for himself. What are we talking about? Well, we're talking about independence. We're talking about independence. When you lose the center of the electorate, you lose the American people. Trump's net approval rating among independents, at this point, you go back term number one, he was 17 points below water. Now, according to Quinnipiac, he is 27 points below water. I don't understand how this works out well for the president of the United States. When you are 27 points below water, underwater, with the center of the electorate, with independents, you lose, your party loses. I've made the comparisons before, he's more underwater than Greg Louganis. I've made the comparisons with all those different divers. And the bottom line is this, you can continue to make those, but over time, when you keep making those same comparisons, they run a little bit old. But at this point, I don't really know who to even compare Donald Trump to, because he's just so low, and he's so low with the center of the electorate.
Oh, so bad. I mean, that's so weird, because 4 days ago, this is what Harry was talking about regarding President Trump and the stock market. Let's listen.
There's a reason why Donald Trump and his administration is talking about the stock market, and that is because it's one of the best economic indicators for the incumbent party. Just take a look at the percentage of Americans who now say that the stock market is doing good compared to where it was around Liberation Day in April of 2025. Now, the clear plurality of Americans say that the stock market is doing good. Just 22% say doing bad. Very different from where we were back in April of 2025, when the majority said bad and only 27% said good. So the bad way down, the good way up. And I will also note that even among Democrats, it's split, and among independents, who have been such a bad group for the president of the United States, in fact, a plurality of them, believe that the stock market
only one. And by the way, they buried the lead there, Harry did 4 days ago, because the majority in that poll said they trusted Trump more than any other president. With the stock market, I can't tell. I mean, is it so bad that, he's midterms, he's going to lose the midterms? What's going to happen in 2028? I mean, MAGA is on fire. Why are we even continuing? And there's the stock market's really good and people really like it, and economics are coming back and gas prices are down and the border's secure and he got rid of all those people and things are getting safer and murder is down. But other than that, it's going to be, it's bad. When we come back, Nick Shirley goes to California. Oh boy, next on the Wendy Bell Radio Network.
All right, now that I've got my mic turned on. Okay, I've got the comments or the chats copied into a comment. This Harold Humpernickel was from Locals. I did pin his chat on the top of the screen there. When I share this video on Locals and on Facebook and on YouTube and Twitch and X. And if somebody chats on one of those other platforms, it doesn't come through on our chat box here. So I wanted to give kudos out to Harold Humpernickel for his chat. All right, these videos that I've shared with you are videos that come directly from the producer's channel. I've got the links to the videos themselves as well as the links to the producer's channel so that you can go see if they have more information. These videos that I've shared with you here are videos that I've posted here on Mertech.com, where I have over 55 no-nonsense, common sense, logic, and truth videos. Now, I'd like to share all this information with you, but unfortunately, I just don't have the time to do so. And that's why I've put together my daily news wrap-up playlist. And as I said, I'm going to include Wendy Bell's video in here and Dan Bongino's. Benny Johnson has some information. X22 report. On the Fringe. We the People News, a lot of great information. It says I have 20 videos in here and about 10 hours worth of great information. So go ahead and take a break. Grab a cup of coffee and a donut or a sandwich and a soft drink or a nice glass of wine and some cheese and meet me back here at 9:30 and we'll get this going. But in the meantime, I do want to thank you for spending your time with me. Hopefully, I'll get to see you again later. And may God bless.